You could be streaming.
You want me to move it back to you guys?
It's the one right off the top of the board. Mr. Jones, can I get you to turn it a little bit more towards Miss Lorenzo and Miss Salazar, just a little that way?
We're fine. Yeah, we're fine.
Come on.
Keep going.
Good.
Keep going. Donald's trying to lean back, but
Yeah.
Donald was like, no.
Chad, you're not in there.
Perfect.
You're not in there.
Perfect.
I will have the opportunity.
And this will go way back.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I will call us to order at 5:36. And I will let the public know that's watching. We were having camera issues. So we are on a fixed camera. There won't be any panning going on. So I won't be able to point at the podium, the lectern, or anything else. So we're kind of set this way. Anyway, if you all will please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and see a symbol of great friendship among the United cultures. This is Charlie roll call, please, ma'am.
Mr. Clausen,
Here.
Mr. Montague,
Here.
Miss Lorenzo. Here. Miss Salazar.
Here.
Mrs. Lee.
Present, we do indeed have a quorum. Board members, we have adoption of the agenda. And at this time, I would like to make the recommendation that on item H, under presentation and action items, we actually switch the order according to council. The OMA resolution needs to come before adoption of the board calendar. Other than that, any other amendments or changes to the agenda, board members? All right, Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
Madam President, board members, I recommend that we approve tonight's agenda with the amendment on item H 1 and 2.
Right, board members, is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Changing the order in item H to have the Open Meetings Act first, the resolution first, and the calendar second. A second, please. Second. It has been moved by Mr. Buttermeal and seconded by Ms. Salazar to approve the agenda as amended. Any discussion, board members? All right, hearing none, we shall proceed to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. The motion does carry. Next up, we have adoption of the meeting minutes first. We have the May 19th minutes. Are there any amendments, excuse me, to the minutes? If so, what? All right, Superintendent, do you have a recommendation, sir?
Madam President, board members, I recommend that we approve the meeting minutes from May 19th.
All right, board members, is there a motion to approve the minutes for May 19th as presented? And a second. Thank you. It has been moved by Ms. Salazar and seconded by Ms. Lorenzo to approve the May 19th minutes as presented. Any discussion, board members? All right, hearing none, we shall proceed to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And same for June 2nd meeting minutes. Are there any amendments to the June 2nd meeting minutes? If so, what? All right, superintendent.
Rest of board members, I recommend that we approve the meeting minutes from June 2nd, 2026.
All right, board members, is there a motion to approve the June 2nd minutes as presented? A second, please. Thank you. It has been moved by Mr. Havanio and seconded by Ms. Salazar to approve the June 2nd meeting minutes as presented. Any discussion, board members? All right, hearing none, we shall proceed to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Mrs. Truby, are there any citizens to address the board this evening? There are no citizens. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Widener, sir.
The first presentation tonight is going to be Mr. Jones and I. You have in your packets a letter from Mr. Jones about procurement. Mr. Jones is my office for procurement and talking about strategic plan consultants. We have had 3 proposals submitted to us as a board. I've asked the consultants to provide videos, and those videos are in the drive. And I sent out a form soliciting feedback on kind of what you all wish. I have 4 submittals. I'm missing 1 submission, and I don't know who submitted because I wanted it to be anonymous, and so I don't know whose did not get submitted. But if you could go back and make sure that you did submit your feedback in the form, that will really help to guide as I know what you all want in a strategic plan. So we're ready to make that choice and make that selection. It's just I want to hear from all 5 voices. Any question? I had a few calls last board meeting where we talked about kind of the form and questions, and so thank you to the 4 of you that did get that done there. And the 5th one, I would love to hear your feedback.
Board members, do you have any questions for Mr. Wagner or Mr. Jones about the consultants and the procurement process?
I have a question in regards to that. So once this is, and I hope you got mine, it's pretty long. That's not what you probably know it's like. But once that's done, what's the timeline in regards to contracting with somebody and, getting something scheduled? Like, do we think that's gonna happen before the school year starts?
Yes,
Okay.
I think we can contract with them this summer and start having our stakeholder meetings and getting that feedback. So I do anticipate that a couple of the consultants have said that they can do it very quickly. So
I guess I don't mean like a finalized strategic plan. I like just having started.
Yeah.
Right?
having
Okay.
having a
Yeah.
the direction, the
Yeah.
compass.
Anything else, board members?
just make sure it's.
Would it, let me just ask this for clerical purposes. Would it be worth sending it again? And letting the board respond again? I mean, I know that's hard with how long everything is, but if everybody thinks that they submitted it, but you just said you only have 4, how? Cause
Well,
you
and I-
said that you
And I
did
did it anonymous, so I
anonymously.
don't know.
Who
I
didn't?
can't, I mean. Some of them I can read and I can kind of tell. Maybe who. But. I'll send it again. I'll send it again. And
So you want all of us to redo it?
I mean, I'm just asking, cause I don't know how to tell.
That's a thing. 2 hours.
Yeah, it was.
I can back.
To see if it went through. Okay,
Yeah, why don't you guys look for me and see if it came through? And if. And we can even. Talk about. The data and the feedback.
perfect. Anything else on this one, board members?
Mr. Jones, did you have anything to add?
Madam President, members of the board, thank you just for the short time. It was mentioned that maybe some of the board members would like to meet the consultants and things like that, or that's not necessarily bad or illegal or wrong. Mr. Widener has those contacts, so if you wanted to schedule time with him to get on a phone call and say, hey, I'm here with, Mrs. Lee, and we want to talk about strategic plan stuff, then at least there's some groundwork. I would recommend that the board does that once a selection is made, regardless. That way you understand who's representing you when carrying out that work, so that you're up to date on the scope of what is going to be provided.
Thank you for keeping us legal.
Do my best.
Any other questions, board members? All right.
All right. Our second item tonight is another item we don't take action on. Annually, we have, as a district, we conducted textbook adoption.
Not annually. Do we do it annually?
Annually, we select books. The money allocated for our textbook adoption comes from the New Mexico Public Education Department. It's their money. And so we as a district get to select vendors that are going to provide us with textbooks. And so I've asked our coordinators from teaching and learning to come tonight. Mrs. Elkins has been kind of compiling the data and looking at the data the last several weeks. And so I've asked Mrs. Stevie Elkins to come present on our math textbook adoption tonight.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, directors, Ms. Bobby and that. I want to start first by thanking Ms. Grego, because truly Ms. Grego did the legwork on this process. Like, we truly just finished it, but she's done the legwork. She's done all of the things that you'll see here today as far as vetting and presentations and gathering that data. So I first want to make sure that
Do you want me to share those slides?
I sent them.
Correct.
Yeah,
I
so-
just didn't know if
You
you
can.
wanted me to
Yeah, sure.
share.
Sure,
But,
yeah,
Up to you.
sure.
These-
Okay.
They're
Okay. I just-
they're wonderful.
But yeah, I want to make sure that Miss Grego gets her part, because she had the legwork part in it.
She had the heavy lift.
She did. And with that, like, I'm grateful to have transitioned into this new role. I know that you guys have seen me in a different capacity before, but truly this is more my strength than what I do. So I'm excited about the next step. So, I know it says do not exceed 10 minutes, and I will not exceed the 10 minutes, I promise. So, and just to kind of piggyback off of what Mr. Whiter said, we do a textbook adoption every year for different subjects. And this year happened to be mathematics adoption. Next year we'll do language art. And so that happens every year. This is a 6-year adoption. So this will be our program of, this will be our curriculum for the next 6 years. This is a K-12 implementation and adoption. The recommendation itself is a result of a collaborative review process that involved teachers, administrators, Ms. Grego was part of that, principals were part of that. And again, the goal for adopting a curriculum for a district is to establish coherent systems, and in this case, mathematics systems that support student achievement, growth, teacher effectiveness, long-term college and career readiness. So we think it's important to kind of explain the process to you. The work has been guided by 4 key priorities, and you'll see those up there. We wanted to ensure that any materials that were recommended provided rigorous standards aligned mathematics instruction for all students, kindergarten through 12th grade. Second, we're looking for a program that creates a coherent and aligned system across grade levels. And that was really important, and that this adoption provided us with an opportunity to do that, just to kind of get everything K through 12 aligned so that kindergarten leads straight into 1st grade, but systemically, so that there's no like, oh, she used this and then she used this, so the data looks funny. We also want to obviously, and I know you guys have seen the data and been presented the data. We want to focus on improving those student achievement scores in mathematics. It's important and it's a district priority. And not only the scores themselves, but preparing kids for the next level, for whether it's college, whether it's career, any future opportunities. Mathematics is one of those things that we need to, as a district and as people in general, change the narrative that we're not good at math. Oh, I don't like math. Like, I'm terrible at math. Because it would never be okay, or it would never be socially permissible to say, oh, I can't read. But we throw around that we're bad at mathematics all over the place, and we want to change that narrative. We don't want that to be the narrative, like, well, we don't like mathematics. So it was important to identify resources that, one, were coherent and standards aligned, but one that provided culturally responsive and relevant to the students in Cibola County and New Mexico. We wanted the materials to reflect the diverse cultures, the languages, and the perspectives represented in this county. And then we wanted to also make sure that the teachers had access to high quality instructional materials, professional development for those materials, because that's often a piece that we leave behind. We get so focused on the students, and Ms. Grego and I talked about this today. The program helps, but truly at the core of it is the teachers that are delivering that instruction. Next, sorry. So again, that process, and again, Ms. Grego set that up for us. It's not one individual, it's not the work of one school, it's not the work of central office or district office, it's not the work of the principals, it's a collaborative process. It comes with a rubric that is recommended from the state, and the adoption committee included elementary, middle, and high school teachers. Ms. Grego went to a bunch of those, some principals went to those. Also, it's important to note the review of the New Mexico Public Education approved materials, because they have a list of those materials too. And so depending on the program that you're looking at, the state will give you just kind of a scoreboard of what they thought at their level. So that comes with vendor demonstrations, pilot materials, and then gathered all that feedback and just kind of compiled it. Again, I want to point out that the HQIM, which is the high quality instructional materials, Savas, and you'll see that that's what we went with, received one of the strongest ones in the state of New Mexico, over 90%. So it was high. So that kind of added validation to the process, and it will 100% meet New Mexico's expectations for rigorous standards of instruction. And so, like I said, the committee went with Savas Envision Mathematics K through 12. So through the process, the committee reviewed the materials. They reviewed the digital materials. They participated in little simulations. They had hard print copies that Ms. Grego provided those schools so they can kind of look at them. And this program came with everything that a district would need, from intervention pieces to acceleration pieces to digital pieces to assessment pieces, all of that kind of thing. And we talked about this, Ms. Grego and I also, as robust as the digital resources are for Savas, the print resources are just as robust. We don't want one without the other. So that's important too. We also, of course, considered implementation costs, longevity costs, that kind of thing, and all of those things. And that's not something that the teachers have anything to do with. That's when we compile that information and we come up and we talk to Mr. Jones and, you know, the feasibility and the longevity of the program. Are we going to be able to sustain the materials that it needs and sustain the professional development that it needs? And Savas is all inclusive for the full 6 years. So that definitely came into play. You go to the next one. So Savas was one of the only programs that truly has a unified K-12 implementation, and that was important. If we're truly going to start talking data and talking about coherent PLCs and examining student work, that's not possible unless you have a continuum of program, because it looks different at every grade level, but you want to be able to see the progression throughout the grade levels. And if you're using the same assessment and the same MLSS procedures, the same type of instruction, you're going to get that data and you're going to be able to see that growth data, and it won't be isolated. You won't be able to say, oh, third grade looks like this, but fourth grade looks like this. You'll be able to say the third graders look like this year, but that same cohort looks like that this year, the following year. So again, they do have a strong digital environment. It includes interactive tools, adaptive learning opportunities, technology enhanced resources that help meet students' needs. And it's also important to meet kids where they're at. And we've learned that through this process. We can't throw something at them and expect them to pick it up. We kind of have to meet them on their level. It has a heavy element of differentiation and instruction. And so it also provides you the tools to be able to provide those layers of support, manage something digitally, manage your tier 2 learners, manage your tier 3 learners without ever skipping a beat. And so it kind of takes the brunt work out of teachers having to plan 3 different things, because when we talk about MLSS, we don't want teachers to think that it's another thing. We want them to think that that's just what they do on a day-to-day basis. We differentiate for the 25 little bodies that we have in our class. And this program helps that. Another thing that it does, and was a big sell, is it supports college and career readiness, and it has elements of career readiness in it as well, and not just not only post-secondary college work. It has career readiness, problem solving, real world applications, mathematical reasoning, while still aligning with the skill sets that students need for beyond high school, whether that's post-secondary, whether that's career ready. Savas also provides, and this was important, a robust assessment platform. And that's something that we kind of have been lacking, is a consistent assessment platform. And it gives us a unique opportunity to be able to align that with our curriculum, with our pacing, with our scope and sequence, and with our data conversation. So that was another reason. We're on the next slide. Right. The vertical alignment of this program, in my opinion, from what I've reviewed, was the best one that we saw. There were other options, but the other option that was a close second only goes to 8th grade, and it would seem detrimental to implement a program K through 8 and then to pull the rug out from underneath those 8th graders and then move to something else as a 9th grader. It would also skew the data, in my opinion. And so something that had that alignment, that vertical alignment that you can see all the way through, is really important. Very logical progressions, and it assures that they have the success they need K through 8 to be able to be successful at algebra and geometry, algebra 2, calculus, if you need AP calculus. So it's grounded in research-based instructional practices, but it also lends itself to the flexibility that if it's not research-based and it works, that's something that you should use. And it's something that the professional learning will tell you, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be research-based for it to work. And the flexibility of the program allows for a teacher to be creative and to do those things that aren't necessarily, you're not going to find in a book. You're just going to find that after 15 years of teaching, that works, and it works with this program. So it's comprehensive. It's truly comprehensive K through 12. And then you can go to the next slide. Again, support for all learners. It has built-in scaffolds, differentiated resources, supports multilingual learners, multiple pathways for growth, personalized learning, and then culturally responsive and inclusive. All of those things are very unique to Cibola County Schools, so they were important in the vetting process. And we felt like because of the strong rating from the state, that this was the best program for our district and our demographic of kids. And like I said, the close second had a little bit lower rating, but when Mrs. Eichhorst and I went through the state's stuff to kind of look at that, we it was notable that the districts that have adopted that have a wildly different demographic, like apples and oranges, and it just did not necessarily feel right for our demographic of kids. So lots of vocabulary, lots of anchor support for vocabulary, lots of visuals for vocabulary. We also, again, wanted to make sure that the materials affirmed the diverse cultures, experiences, and perspectives in our communities. SOPS provides opportunities for students to see themselves reflected in their learning while connecting mathematics to meaningful real-world content. And the representative from SAVAS is local also, so also understands the diverse needs of the schools in New Mexico. So he's a big sell also important. And then we can go to that. So I gave you the number of 90% as far as the HQMI at the state. The K-5 materials received 100% rate in the city of New Mexico. The overall program above 90%, but the K-5 materials were over 100%, so that's notable. Their standards align research-based, designed to build both conceptual understanding and procedural fluency, which if you do a deep dive into our data, the procedural fluency is, in my opinion, where we lack the most. If we can get a grip on that, it'll start building on itself so that we can get to the conceptual. And this was impressive to me because it differentiated between the two, because you don't necessarily see that very often in a mathematics program where it's just math. A district that is struggling with their math scores like we are, we need to separate those two. And it's important and it's critical to separate those two. The other thing that's really important is the strong support that they offer to teachers. They have an on-demand library. And like I said, the rep is local. And Jennifer and I were talking about this today. If we need something, we could easily call him and say, hey, they're struggling with this. Can you provide either the tool to help with that, or can you provide a training? The price point comes with all of that training. And so that comes with the adoption. And so that's critical because you don't want to, especially K through 12, roll something out without the support that it would be like rolling it out to the kids. If we roll it out to teachers without that support, they're going to struggle. And we don't want to spend a year of catch up. We just want to spend a year laying that foundation and getting to work. So as far as the expected outcomes, again, it is no secret, full transparency. We've seen the math data from everywhere. We know what it looks like. We know that it is not looking good right now. We also know that it's not telling the full story of what's happening in our schools, because there are amazing things happening in our schools. And I know that when you look at numbers and data, it's not telling the full story of what's happening, but we want that data to move up. We don't expect it to like drastically move up tomorrow. Like, hey, the program's going to solve everything, because it doesn't matter the program if you provide the professional development to the people that are rolling out that. And that's not us at this level. We can't do that work for them. So it's going to provide greater consistency across schools and across classrooms. If you are in the 3rd grade of Milan Elementary, what you're learning in the 3rd grade at Mount Taylor Elementary should be eerily similar. The delivery obviously will be different, but the anchor and the support will be eerily similar, because we should be able to collaborate school to school and say, hey, Milan scores are through the roof. Mount Taylor's are not, how can we help? How can we align what's going on over there? You know, what is one administratively doing versus the other one? But that'll provide that for us so that there's not silos of success and silos of deficits. We don't want that. A huge thing is the engagement, and with all the digital tools, we found that kids really need that in 2026. As much as we fight it, we're like, no screen time. They need those digital tools. They need to see it. They need to see a video of it. They need to see it in a game. They need to see it in a contest. They need to see one of the things you can actively see the kids working, and you can see their scores differentiating and moving actively on the screen. So, and it also has that targeted intervention for your English language learners, for your students that are in tier 2, for your students that are in tier 3. And we know and understand that it's not going to solve every challenge that we currently have, but it's definitely a good start. So, our vision is that every learner develops a deep understanding of mathematics, not a love, because we know we can't get there today or tomorrow, but at least an understanding, and not just in procedural, but in the ability to reason, solve problems, communicate their thinking, and apply mathematics to real world situations. There's a huge differentiation between our STAR data, which is our interim data, versus our SAT. And so that's telling us that whatever's happening in the middle, there's a little bit of a, and so this is what's happening in the middle. This is what's happening. And so SAT is huge in endurance to get to the conceptual. You have to be, I always think about the SAT like a spiral. You need to start here and you need to work all the way through it to get to your target there. And STAR is a little bit more targeted. Like you got it, let's move on. And your scores kind of inflate with STAR. And then we get to SAT and they completely fall off the map. So our hope is that this program is the missing link in between our interim assessments versus our formative assessments, and that it marries the two, and that it provides teachers and administrators with the data to understand the marriage between the two. And I think that it's under 10 minutes. I think that's it. Can I answer any? I will try to answer any questions. I will give it my best shot. But that's all we have.
Board members' question.
Well, we do this annually with different subjects.
Different subjects.
So
Last year was science adoption. This year is mathematics. Next year is English language arts.
9-12.
are the teachers prepared? Do they already know what's coming next? Do they know about this?
Professional development.
Today was the big announcement for the teachers, so they'll know after today.
Do
Their
they have any
administrators,
say so in?
they chose.
They do, and that's why this is kind of a no-brainer for you guys, because this is what the teachers do, and this is what the schools want. It's exciting because it will be consistent. So Cabero Elementary, 3rd grade, they're going to be learning these math concepts. Blue Water Elementary, 3rd grade, they're going to be learning the same concepts, and it's exciting. It's exciting because 6 years ago we didn't have this precedent. So now we're really excited to have that consistency across all.
What is the professional?
The data is more easier to understand because it comes across.
They'll be providing as part of the sales
So
package.
they provide like an implementation boot camp at the beginning of the year prior to teachers starting. And then that also comes, so Mr. Jones knows this, but we also put in a quote for some MOY professional development, like using the data to drive your instruction, and then some EOY professional development that will help you analyze your year's worth of data and move into next year. They do have embedded several, and I'm assuming we can sneak those into some of those embedded professional development days. They have little 2-hour mini sessions that will help teachers during those days. They also have a full on-demand library. And like I said, their our point of contact is local, not Rams local, but state local. And I would assume that he would be wildly helpful in anything that a teacher or administrator needs to help be successful with them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Then again, this is, the funds come from the state. And that's why they provide us with a selection list of, of who they would recommend and so we utilize their funds to purchase material.
Questions? Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you guys. Have a good evening.
I'm out of here. I'm going to baseball. We'll look forward to how this goes, right? Oh, look at it. Beautiful. Mr. Reiner.
Awesome. So it's our favorite time of the meeting. We love our policy comments. We have Mrs. Gallegos Ortiz here tonight. She's going to be talking to us about the first reads and second reads. No, just second reads tonight. So, without further ado, it is time for Miss Amanda Gallegos Ortiz to go.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. Tonight, I will be doing 2 sec reads, so I will be very quick. The first is policy E4200, EHA, computerized data systems. This was a policy we found a need for in our district for our technology department when we were writing procedures. This policy establishes the purpose and operational responsibilities of the technology department. The primary goal is to support district operations through efficient technology systems and data management processes. And the policy also clarifies that each department and school site is responsible for entering accurate and timely data, while the technology department manages retrieval processes and report generation. Security and confidentiality are emphasized throughout this policy. So it was just a more updated version of what we currently have when it comes to staff computerized data systems. The second policy is E4300 EGB, staff use of digital communications. This policy establishes expectations for how GCCS staff communicate with students and families using technology. One of the most significant requirements is that staff may only use district approved communication platforms and may not use personal devices to directly communicate with students. The policy also requires that all communication through the district platforms be recorded to ensure transparency and accountability. And the policy further limits after-hour communication except for approved school-related purposes such as emergencies, transportation updates, or extracurricular activities. That's all I have for second reads tonight. Did anybody have any questions?
I have a question. Sure. Do staff get assigned a phone?
No, we have classroom phones and our administrators have district phones that we're about to phase out. There's other programming we can do through the computer phones. But they do not have phones to use.
But if like, so I guess on the computer system, there's a way if they needed to communicate with the student, like after hours, like the student needed help or something, it's done just on their district computer.
Correct.
Okay.
And all of our students have emails.
Yeah.
And so there's always that through the Google accounts.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That was all my questions.
All right, board members, at this time, we have consideration of approval of the second reads for policy E4200 EHA and E4300 EGE. One is the computerized data systems and the other is staff use of digital communication. Superintendent.
I recommend that we approve the second read.
All right, board members, is there a motion?
So vote.
Thank you. And a second?
That's the reason.
Second. It has been moved by Mr. Clausen and seconded by Ms. Salazar to approve the second reads policy E4200 EHA computerized data systems and the E4300 EDE staff use of digital communication. Any discussion, board members? All right, hearing none, we shall proceed to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Yes.
All right, the motion actually carries. Very good. Yeah. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here.
Board members, for item B tonight, I'll start with a little history lesson. So I've been the superintendent now for 3 years. 3 years ago, we were spending a lot of money annually on professional development. We were sending people to trainings in San Diego, and we were sending them to, different curricular trainings and decided we wanted to get a little more succinct with how we were providing professional development. A year ago, our board approved for us to partner with Marzano Professional Development Resource. We implemented the new art and science of teaching this year and have had Marzano consultants that have come and provided workshops and been in our classrooms and have met with our teachers and have talked to them about proficiency skills. And we're in the first year of the implementation, and we are wanting to continue to provide this as our professional development to people. As Mrs. Elkins mentioned, we will have math professional development, but they'll come here, they'll provide. And so we're not sending our people away for professional development. We're having in-house professional development. And I've asked Dr. Martin and Mrs. Griego to be here tonight to kind of help support me and provide information on Marzano. Our first year implementation has been successful. We found out recently that the PED is partnering with Marzano Resource. And so they've asked us to kind of pilot and be a lead since we've already started this partnership. There's 5 districts in the state right now that are partnered with Marzano Resource. And so we have agreed to help be part of this pilot through PED and through this professional development partnership. Dr. Martin, Mrs. Griego, do you have anything I'm missing?
No, I think the second year implementation, first year was just get to know what Marzano was and the proficiency scale and the elements. I think we're ready to move a little bit more with the learning and the accountability piece second year. And we still have the same presenters, Dr. Rule and Dr. Shaver coming in. And so a lot of our staff members, well, not a lot, a couple of our staff members at the elementary and the secondary are part of the proficiency scales team with New Mexico Public Education. So they have a little bit of advanced knowledge, which benefits us as a district. They get to bring what they've been working on collaboratively with other districts. So I think that only supports our teachers with that proficiency. And so it's going to be another good year with professional development and high quality instruction, high quality math implementation, the literacy. It's going to be a win-win. So
It's really exciting for the teachers too, because you have an expert teacher that in your classroom and they're there helping you with strategies and let's say you're a non-traditional teacher and you're, second year teacher and you're struggling with classroom management, and they come in and they help you with systems for how you can, pull the popsicle sticks out or you know, how you can help, you know, have implement restorative justice and discipline, classroom management, grading scale, and
Intervention.
it's really neat that you have that expert there helping you as an individual teacher. It the proposal is in there. It is expensive. It is less expensive than it was last year. But this also does not, we're not utilizing funds to send people to San Diego or to Dallas or to Colorado.
It's been included in our unified application and PED actually approved it. Thank you. We got all the bugs out of it. I know we had problems. But like the grades or secondary level. Or...
We did have. We had some difficulty when we started looking at proficiency scales and proficiency grading. And then we, as part of our systems work, we had a new grading procedure. And so we worked those bugs out.
Which usually happens when we have stuff
Yeah.
there's all so.
And it's a continuous professional development growth. So it's not a one and done. And you want, when you go to a professional development somewhere else and then it's over, this is a continuation. We become part of a team, and, you know, we could be a spotlight school where we can go and present the wonderful things happening in our district. So I think that's an incentive and a goal.
We're actually ahead of the state when it comes to Marzano, because we were already doing it as a district. The NFP, the admin are still going to Marzano training outside of the state to actually try to find out what it's about. That's what Dr. Will say.
Yes.
So well, I was excited to bring it on, you know,
Yeah.
as one of our things.
Yeah,
It's
But like I said, we just heard about sometimes you have those like the issues with it.
It's exciting too for newer teachers. You know, it's exciting for if you've taught a long time, like my age group. It's new strategies, and it's how to provide interventions and how to do MLSS, and you know, and really how to make sure that your kids are getting a quality education. As you all probably know, in grants, it's often hard to get highly qualified teachers. And so we have a student who maybe got a bachelor's degree in business, and then we hired them to teach second grade. And so this comes in and provides teachers with strategies and instructional strategies and how to look at the standards and make sure that your kids are understanding and exit tickets, and it's a good partnership. So it is expensive. It is less expensive than last year substantially, and we definitely want to be a leader in curriculum and in New Mexico.
Well, at this last conference, they were asked a lot about it. And, well, they are looking forward to they want to improve the kids. And with the Mexico, we want to improve them here, but you know, they always look, we're last, we're last, New Mexico's last. If they want to move the kids forward, they look at this. Yes.
board members, any other questions?
So is this something that happens every year? Like, we'll have to do this every year? Or as like staff get,
Right
like,
now,
trained up
we're
on
looking
their
at a
capacity?
3-year
Okay,
rollout. It's possible we could extend that to 5 years. And that will be kind of up to you guys and the direction.
And this renewal is for this one.
Correct. We renew it every year, annually.
so is this renewal the second renewal? Okay,
Correct. Last year it was more expensive because we had the books and we had a couple of more days where we were starting, you know, and introducing So
This is more keeping it going and taking
keep
the
it-
next steps.
well, and this is professional development for all 11 schools, all 360 teachers, classroom teachers, and you know, everybody should be able to get something.
Is there data available on what this is, how like effective this is with the teachers in the different, at the different school sites?
Yes, Mrs. Griego is currently working on a data report of what our data looks like over the past 3 years. And I will be happy to share that with the board. Probably when we have like a strategic plan work session, and I would be happy for you all to look at that.
Oh, that would be great.
Anything else before we move to consideration, board members? All right, at this time, we have consideration of approval of the Marzano renewal. Superintendent.
Madam President, board members, I recommend that we renew the Marzano purchase agreement in the amount of $135,570.24.
Board members, is there a motion to approve the Marzano renewal in the amount of $135,570.24?
So vote.
A second, Mr. Clausen?
Second.
Thank you, sir. It has been moved by Mr. Hadamio and seconded by Mr. Clausen to approve the Marzano renewal in the amount of $135,570.24. Excuse me, board members, any further discussion at this time? All right, hearing none, we shall proceed to a vote. All in favor? Raise your hand. And aye. 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 Motion carries. Mr. Wagner.
I don't vote. At this time, Mr. Jones is back with more budget talk. We are in the final run of the race of the budget, and fixing to be ready for a new fiscal year. And so, Mr. Jones, why don't you talk to us about the budget?
Happy to. Madam President, members of the board, this has been a race, but it's been a three-legged race, and neither me nor my partner is coordinated enough to do this quickly. And I appreciate you bearing with us. I sent a few things to the packet regarding the budget. Our audit is not complete, and that's okay. The PED has granted us the ability to use our ending cash balance that we have in-house for our carryover cash. And as such, our budget is balanced currently, and we are getting awards for all of our funds as it is balanced. So this is really the last step, is for the five of you to take action to approve the budget as it has been presented since April. So I'm going to channel my inner college professor and say, I haven't heard any questions regarding this portion of it. And as such, I expect you to understand it well enough to vote. And I'll leave it at that.
Board members, do you have any questions before we move to consideration?
Mr. Jones, can you provide just a little bit of insight into the audit and just explain why we will proceed without the audit?
Absolutely. So when you go through a fiscal year, we have checks and balances all year. We know where money is going and where we're getting it and where it's being spent. An auditor has the ability to follow dollars in between the balance sheet and the P&L and the cash flow statement. So they're just a lot more accurate when it comes to, hey, this is what cash that you have carried over. And they do so for school districts by fund. So we might be slightly off where we're thinking that we might be, a little healthier NGO. Title I carryover might be lower than it should be. Our auditor really has the final say to say, hey, I looked through every single line and I know exactly how much money you have because I've double checked, triple checked all the work that you're done. So our audit has taken a long time. This is something that happened not last year, but the year before, where the budget was approved prior to the audit being accepted. And it's one of those things where there are 95 school districts and a handful of charters, and there's really only 9 or 10 auditors that specialize in school finance. So sometimes we get lucky and it gets done in April, May, June time. Other times we end up a little late. So I've been very transparent about the audit. The audit will not be super pretty. There's been a lot of stuff that we have shed light on that we want our auditors to see, because for the business office and how we conduct ourselves fiscally, the audit is really a good roadmap of, hey, you need to do better in these places. So if there's ever any inkling of, hey, we could be doing better, we say, Mr. Manning, who's our auditor, will you take a look at this? Do you have an opinion on this? And just really quick, in terms of the relationship between the auditor and myself, there have been things that have come up that I don't know the answer to. So I get on the phone and I say, hey, you're the one that's going to look at my books. What is it that I could do better to make your job easier to be totally compliant with AMAC or statutes or procurement? And it's their job to support us as well. So we pay for a product being the audit, but we also pay for that service just to keep us in the playing field while we go forward. So he is out traveling. Mr. Manning is out traveling. They had, I think, 12 schools that they were doing this year. So he is probably presenting to a board right now so that they can accept their audit. My hope is that either that last meeting in July, first meeting of August, he's ready. I'll add also that my recommendation, and I'll echo what happened last year, my recommendation is about Halloween time. We all sit down and we have a budget overview that says, hey, this is how we built it and submitted on July 1. This is where we need to shape things to be a little bit more responsive to our needs. So again, the budget lives and breathes. It's not something that once we stamp, it has to be that way. There's a reason for bars. There's a reason for, changing in initiatives and things like that. And we are as flexible as we can to make those things right.
Thank you.
This has to be done by the first.
This has to happen soon.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Board members, at this time, we have consideration and approval of the 2026-2027 Grant Cibola County School Budget. Mr. Wright,
I recommend that we give the budget.
board members, is there a motion to approve the GCCS 2026-2027 budget?
I so vote.
And the second. It has been moved by Mr. Clausen and seconded by Mr. Jaramillo to approve the 2026-2027 Grant Cibola County School budget. Any discussion, board members?
I had a question that I was able to talk with Mr. Widener about earlier. So I don't have any questions. I think the one outstanding issue is, right, like something we've been asking for since March. So I just want to explain my vote so that it's clear that this decision is not about funding to our schools, right, our staff or our students. I recognize that the district has financial obligations and bills to pay, right, and that there's a state deadline and all of that stuff. And I also recognize that there was a lot of work that went into the budget. However, I do think that one of the boards and something we hear like in these conferences, right? Like I feel like I'm inundated with this, and that's probably my one takeaway from every conference is that the board's most important responsibilities is to ensure that the district resources are aligned with district priorities and that we're exercising appropriate oversight on behalf of the communities that we serve. So I know that since March, shortly after I came on board, I repeatedly asked for information regarding the progress on the previous strategic plan, and how the proposed budget, aligns, with those goals from the previous, years. I think that since the budget discussions have started in April, I think that's when we started talking about them. I think that's come up, again, and even the last meeting, right? I asked again, like, when are we gonna be able to see that? It would be on future agenda. I was thinking since we're approving the budget tonight, that it was gonna be on this agenda. So I called Mr. Weiner for clarification on that, and I think that's still something that's gonna be on a future, agenda. So I think that, I do not believe that, right, in all due respect, I don't believe that the board should be asked to approve a budget before receiving information that demonstrate whether the district, is making progress on those priorities. And we don't know that because we haven't received the information that's been being requested, for the past 3 months, specifically to, how the district is advancing goals, on the strategic plan. So for me, strategic planning and budgeting are intended to work together. So without knowing that measurable progress, and seeing that data, it's hard, for me to like, oh, okay, yeah, this budget lines up with the previous strategic plan, or right, anything like that. So I don't believe that the board has been providing information necessary to fulfill, and to fully exercise our, fiduciary responsibilities, which again, I think is the board's primary responsibility. So I'm just concerned that I'm also concerned that there hasn't been meaningful, tribal engagement, um, with our tribal partners on the development of the budget. And so given, that we serve a lot of Native students from the surrounding tribal communities, I think that's, having their input into the budgeting process is really, important, outside of a survey that gets sent out to everybody, right? That's something we need to hear from our tribal partners, around. So I just want to also say that, my vote, I hope my vote is not interpreted as opposition to the district, operations and paying bills and right, the work that staff put behind this. I recognize that, that is, very time consuming. So rather my vote reflects, my belief that, transparency and accountability and strategic alignment, and meaningful community engagement are essential components of sound, board governance. And so for all of those reasons, I'll be voting no on the budget.
Thank you. Any other discussion, board members, at this time? All right, we shall proceed to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, please say nay and raise your hand.
Me.
Thank you. The motion does carry. Mr. Wagner.
I've asked Mr. Jones, again, he's gonna be over for a couple of things. We have an approved RFP, it's approved by the PED. We have a approved proposal for our food services provider. And so I've asked Mr. Jones to come and report on that.
This is the most exciting thing of the year. Madam President, members of the board. We have found, the calls, the perfect partner for the school district in regards to our food service program. The district wrote a RFP using the state guidelines based on the responses from that RFP, we had 4 that submitted proposals. Of the 4 that submitted proposals, we evaluated and scored. We allowed the top 3 to feed around 80 students and 40 employees in this building. Following that being, our 80 and 40 were able to vote, so that they had a choice in who we selected. Yes, ma'am.
Where did the students and staff come from?
The students and staff came from every site in the district. So we had students from all 3 high schools and all 8 elementary schools. And it was totally random. We allowed the principals the autonomy to say, send me your picky eaters. So we have the picky eaters here. The evaluation committee selected Elior Dining. Elior was the most expensive choice, and rightfully so. So from a business standpoint, and I was not on the evaluation committee, what I really appreciated about Elior is, one, they're just totally transparent. So their menu, their ingredients, everything was quality. They were able to identify local New Mexico grown places that they were sourcing their food from. So if it has green chili in it, it's hash green chili. Even the beef that they had fed us, it had come from Albuquerque, Rio Grande Valley. So for me, I'm really excited for that, because supporting local economy, our kids are eating food that is grown in their state. Second, Elior is currently partnered with Socorro and Farmington. So Socorro being 1,600-ish students, Farmington being 2 to 3 times bigger than we are. To me, that shows that they have the ability to scale. So they could scale to 1,600 kids. They can scale to our 3,000 pretty easily, especially if they're doing 9,000. So they have a regional presence. It's very innovative. Our students, especially at the secondary, they'll be able to key in their number. They'll get their free lunch. Everything is tracked really easy. So on the claim side of things, even though the cost per plate is maybe more expensive, we should be feeding more kids than we are. So in turn, it feeds itself. So I will tell you, I learned something about procurement during this process. So we can't approve the award for a dollar amount, because the dollar amount will depend on how many meals they. So if you said, hey, we're going to approve this for, $1 million, that might only be 300 meals or 400 meals or 500 meals. So I'm happy to be transparent through that process. That is the reason why PED gets to look it over. They make sure that we're not getting taken advantage of, that they have the suppliers in place, and that this is a feasible thing. So full disclosure, because it has been so close, we've already started that transition process as much as we can without this approval. So next year, all cafeteria food, K-12 New Mexico, 50% from scratch. So that means new menus, that means new ingredients, that means maybe mixers back in the kitchens and bigger ovens and those sorts of things. So we've been really trying to make sure that we're up to speed, so that when we have students here on August 10th, they can get a fresh hot meal that is 50% made from scratch. So I'm really excited about this. We were talking about budget just a second ago, and when we send the budget survey out, the people are like, we don't care about the money, fix the it's the number one thing that we get beat up over. And hopefully a year from now, and again, this is a year contract, we'll have the ability to renew in a year. Hopefully a year from now, it's like, let's just vote, because it's just been so fantastic. So I have a feeling that that's going to be the case.
Board members' questions?
I have a question in regards to knowing, I mean, if this is a year contract and knowing we're gonna be talking about this again, next year, is there consideration to maybe surveying throughout the year, so we know whether or not this is what we anticipated, or what is really beneficial for the students in the different sites?
Yes. We've talked a lot about, I think Mr. Jaramillo said, as board members, you often get complaints about food, or what that my child's not getting enough, or And so it's an exciting partnership. We're gonna vet it continuously throughout the year to make sure that we are getting the services that they're committed to. We want to have good food on all of our campuses.
Oh,
I know.
no, they good food, but like he says, if the kid goes for seconds, they'll cover that second plate, all right? Is that how they're gonna do it? How that works?
How does that work?
Yeah, so it's kind of touchy. Anybody that works in a cafeteria that has a kid that comes to ask for food, gives them food. The way that the state asks us to do that is that the first lunch is free and the second month lunch is paid for. It's one of those things that on paper is different than in practice, because again, if a kid comes and they're hungry, our cafeteria feeds them. So letter of the law versus spirit of the law.
Currently, we have half of our cafeteria employees working for the previous food service contract. So we'll have onboard them back to district employment quickly, so we have folks in our kitchen.
So which they won't go till after tonight.
Tonight.
Yeah, we know.
Tonight. So
Tonight,
it's beneficial. Two things that I'll touch on just really quick on the staffing side is one, we allowed a result of the negotiations with the union is that janitors and custodians could work for the school district without a high school diploma, and that we would provide them the opportunity to get a GED. So that's one of the reasons why we've had difficulty staffing our cafeterias in the past, is because SFE did not have that same standard. So, hey, I wanted to work for the school district. I can't because I don't have a high school diploma. I'm going to go work for SFE instead. So we can fix that a little bit. The second thing is that because we're at a 90-10 split on the benefits for employees that are making $50,000 or below, it will save those people a ton of money to come to us because they'll get full benefits and will cost them very, very little to do so. So if there are any SFE employees that can pass a background check and want to work for us, they'll have that opportunity. We're not, but I'm sensitive to that. I don't want anybody laid off. I don't want anybody job seeking. I want to make sure that they have a place. And ideally, we're a better employer than our partners because we have better benefits.
Any other questions? All right, at this time, we have consideration of approval of the food services agreement with LA Board. Superintendent.
I recommend that we approve.
Board members, is there a motion to approve the food services agreement with Elior? Second,
Second.
it has been moved by Ms. Salazar and seconded by Mr. Clausen to approve the food services agreement with Elior. Any further discussion, board members? All right, hearing none, we shall proceed to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries.
Get the vote.
I was just raising. Hallelujah.
And it's exciting. We see the.
You just have to make sure they know that the superintendent's allergic to strawberries.
My daughter's allergic. She'll take medicine before and
And she'll
She'll
eat
eat
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I'll pay later.
yeah, so
So this morning, my team was giving me a hard time. They were teasing me that I wasn't excited enough about this next presentation. So I'm gonna bring the excitement. Mesa View is almost complete. We are ready to start school in the new building. We are very excited to have the beautiful new campus at Mesa View. And Mr. Jones is going to talk to you now about their playground, which has a Viking ship and lots of really cool turf and neat stuff. So I am very excited for you to learn about the Mesa View playground.
I'm super excited about this as well. I was the guilty party giving Mr. Wagner a hard time. Madam President, members of the board, we're at finished work at Mesa View. I had shared in our finance committee that all of the supposed issues with the structure have been resolved and they are moving forward. And if anybody wants to go tour it or whatever, just reach out to Superintendent Widener and we can make sure that that happens. So one of the unique things about Mesa View Elementary School is the ratio of special education classrooms to general education classrooms. So if you can mental image that building, anything that is in an interior classroom is actually a special ed classroom. So when we procure,
Can you say that again? Sorry,
yeah, so there's
my ears just perked.
no, there's classrooms that are on the perimeter of the building. And because they have big daylight walls, they have natural light that actually gets to classrooms that are in what I'm calling the island, interior classrooms. So they're classrooms that don't have an exterior exit. There's 11 special education classrooms at Mesa View. The student count when we started this project was 474. We're currently at 485, and with the new school, we anticipate that number going to 520, 530, because it's a new school, right? If you're a parent and you were on the border between Mesa View and Mount Taylor, you might say, start walking the other way so you can go to that new school. So because it has new and innovative special education facilities, our playground, when we procured it with the intent of it being wheelchair accessible and ADA compliant so that all students can play. So it does come at a price. I'm presenting this to you with knowledge and transparency that DSFA has yet to determine the split in which we will be contributing to this project. It will be 26%. I anticipate that it will be close to $250,000. We really need to get this done because I have installers tentatively scheduled for the first week in August to put this thing together. So it'll get bolted together, and then a week later we'll have students that are playing on it. And that's if everything goes according to plan. So I'll also share that just the person that I am, I made sure that these playgrounds were just big enough that kids could hurt themselves. I'm kidding, but I have studied this a little bit, and one thing that I have learned about kids is kids need to be able to safely push their boundaries. So if you'll notice in the big playground, there is a large structure that is tall. And that's because we want our kids to push themselves and we want our kids to be active and move around. So there's a lot of climbing in this playground. There's a lot of spinning. These are things that are really good for kids in terms of sensory, but also in terms of development, picking up their own body weight and jumping and stretching and spinning and all of those things. So I'm kind of new to that world. I'm fascinated by it. So now I'm rambling, but I have to say this. If you find yourself car sick or seasick or sick on the plane, or maybe you get sick when you're at Disneyland, there's actually research that suggests you didn't play enough with spinning and swinging as a kid because you develop the ability to handle that kind of stuff. So if you are a
Playground and I still get sick.
and some of us just can't be fixed. So,
I'm always busy.
yeah, busy all the time.
My mom, but I couldn't do monkey bars very long. Whole lot to pick up.
So, Mr. Jones, for clarification, as we are waiting on the split total from PSFA, the consideration of approval is for this company and the playground equipment that you have presented to us, but isn't necessarily for the dollar amount.
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
Okay.
And I'm happy to notify Mr. Widener when we have that split. This is something that's budgeted for in the capital budget for Mesa View anyway. So, you know me, and I've said this in writing, I'm kind of a nerdy rule follower. I make sure that everything's above the board, especially with this sort of thing. There are finance directors that would say, doesn't need to go to the board because they've already approved the budget for the building. Everything after that is just an addition to the building. I would rather say, hey, it's gonna be $850,000 total. Our split is gonna be a quarter of that. I would rather you be aware of that. So, when you get your expenditures report, you're like, wait a second. I didn't say that we could spend, $1 million on a playground. So I'm asking you to approve this proposal. It is a CES contract. Sometimes, and especially in this case, when we're asking for things that are specialized, it saves us a lot of time to say, hey, we have good relationship with you, utilize CES pricing and get us what we're asking for.
Thank you.
You bet.
So, board members, any further questions on this
So
one before
Up to the
consideration?
GO bond, part of the GO bond.
It comes from the capital bond. It's
The cap.
Yep. So that's the capital bond that came. Oh man, 2023.
But I read.
So 2023, it was for $20 million was the capital outlay. Of that 20 million, we still have 5 million that we've yet to sell. So we have the ability to get more capital. That 5 million is really set aside for the design and the beginning of Mount Taylor Elementary School. The monies that we have budgeted are from that 15 million that we've already sold.
Like it for the wheelchair kids.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So board members, at this time, there were no further questions.
No, I have a question just in terms of, like how this gets decided, like which schools, which schools are gonna be, revamped or with the playgrounds, like how does that get decided during that? Because it happens during the election and stuff like that, right? But when you are identifying what the schools, how does the identification of the schools?
So two things, one that's very formal and one that's informal. I'll go informal first. So like Santa Fe Elementary School is high on the list that PSFA ranks. For us to put a new playground facility at Santa Fe Elementary School is fantastic. But if you look at enrollment and how it's declining, we're like in a, hey, let's maintain that. Let's make it look as best as we can, make sure that it's safe, because we don't want to spend $850,000 on a building that realistically could not have students there in 3 or 4 years. Sure. Not trying to give anybody a black eye, love Santa Fe, nothing like that. Seb might be a better example. Now, the really formal answer is New Mexico Public Schools Facilities Authority audits every single public school facility. So they walk through and they count lights that are out and they say, hey, there's a ding in this. And then they have an equation where they weight everything that goes into it. And then they come out with this ranking. The number 1 school is the most dilapidated school in the state. And they say, we will fund you to replace this. So what's interesting is one of the variables that's weighted really heavy is student population. So this last year, when the ranking came out, Grants High School, which is only a 20-year-old school, right? If that 15-year-old school, it was number 44 on the list. So they would have funded us to rebuild Grants High School. Now, when you look at that and you start asking questions and you look at the report, it's mainly due to HVAC issues. It's a water-based system. The water in Grants is crappy. So we have a lot of heating and cooling issues at Grants High School. We spend a ton of money just keeping Grants High School cool. So it's not always, everything is going bad. Sometimes it's just 1 or 2 things. So on that same thread, Grants High School did get approval for funding with the 76-24 split or 74-26, I forget, for the systems. So HVAC, lighting, they even added the stucco that's falling off the new gym and that kind of stuff. So PSCOC and PSFA really make the list. The informal thing is like, hey, Mesa View's going to be there for the next 15 years. If I do the pour in place rubber and have to replace it 0 times, that's cheaper than me every 5 years having to bring in wood chips and rubber and all of that kind of stuff. So it's just a little bit easier to maintain. I know I was all over the place, but the Public Schools Facilities Authority really is who ranks like really terrible getting there and get together. So once the Grants High School systems work is complete, it'll fall out of the top 100. So currently, San Rafael said and Mount Taylor are all within the funding range from PSFA. It's just a balance and kind of a difficult thing when you start looking at enrollments and things like that. So Mount Taylor has steady enrollment. Mount Taylor will be the school that we build next, and Mason View was the school before that, and Blue Water was the school before that.
So going back to like your example of like Seb, like what would like because is it because there's the enrollment is not increasing or it's declining? So at some point, right, like where would those students go?
Yeah, so I won't pretend to have all the answers, and I'll speak in hypotheticals. So if Seb had 200 students in that community that was attending, PSFA would move it to top of the list and say, hey, you got to get a new school there. Because there's only 20 students there, it just doesn't rank as high. And that's the state. That's not Cooper Jones going out there and saying, nope, not enough kids, let's not give them money or anything like that. So one of the things to look at as well, more overarching rather than just looking at the facility, is for 20 students, we end up splitting grades. So you might have a K1, 2, and then you might have a 3, 4, and a 5, 6. So you might have 3 teachers over 20 kids. When you start looking at the budget and the budget that just was approved, we're spending something like $800,000 just on staffing at SEB for 20 kids. So I'm not saying that this is the fix, but it would be vastly less expensive and our students would get a higher quality of education to bus the students from SEB to Cabrera, and then they don't have to be in split classrooms. So then you have a kindergarten teacher just teaching kindergarten instead of kindergarten and first grade and second grade and third grade. So it also helps with like socialization.
Right.
Like if you're a kindergartner and the next oldest student from you is 8 or 9 or 10, you don't learn how to play with kids as much as you would if you had 10 kids that were all 5 in the same classroom. So that would be the quick solution, I think, is just say, hey, we would love to bus your students there and make sure that they have a grade level teacher that is supportive to them. And then you look at like programming with clubs and things like that. Like Guevara is sending kids to Salt Lake every year for national archery. We have archery at SEB the same, but you know, the competitive spirit and things like that, like it comes out when you're in big classes.
It would be, I'm very interested in this and like knowing like these come up like during elections and rights often talked about during legislative session, and I feel like I practically live up there. If like there was, if we could have like a training on like how all of that get decided and the bonds and all of that stuff, like just have more, that would be helpful.
Sure. So
And I'm just nosy.
and,
Well, no, and
Oh, but it is.
And I should mention too, we have here. For months, we've had facility master plan. When we get together in our work session and talk, you know. Right now, we're talking about, we need employee housing. We've got some land, we've got, you know, so maybe we need to look at that. And we've got, we bought the old Continental Divide building, and we need to figure out what we want to do there, and we've got to do something with the lot where the old Mason View is. And so there's a lot of these things that you guys as a board kind of need to intervene with and provide feedback, and then we go to the legislature and say,
Right.
hey, we want to build an apartment complex, or you know,
Yeah.
that stuff too.
which, and just really quick, we have a bond advisor as well. We
Oh,
have somebody
nice.
that
They
reviews.
just come and do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's a gem. She'd be happy to. But our bond advisor would look at the facilities master plan and look at the PSFA list and say, okay, this is what's feasible, given what you can go to voters for. Because the careful thing that you have to do with the bond is you don't want to pass on more expense than it was already there to people that are paying property tax.
Sure.
So the board has made a resolution that they would keep the tax base the same, meaning you're not going to say, we need to build $100 million facility and we're going to force that on voters and they better vote for it or else, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's called bond cycling. We just make sure that that rate is the same. So even with our 5 million, we're careful as to when we issue that and make sure that we have projects lined up that we can spend that on to make sure that we're not saying, hey, voters, thanks so much for the money. Now it's going to cost you even more this time. So and then the only other thing is Cibola County has the highest veterans per capita as any other county in the state. And veterans now get an exemption on their property tax based on the percentage in which they're disabled. So if you're 100% disabled, no property tax, 50%, 50% property tax. So that stuff comes into consideration as well when we go to voters, because maybe now you don't ask for as much money, you ask for a less amount so you can keep the tax base the same. So I'm kind of a finance nerd, so that's why this has taken 10 minutes for me to explain. So I appreciate the question, and we can absolutely facilitate our bond advisory coming to talk capital bonds.
Superintendent, we are
Madam,
considering approval of Mesa View Playground equipment.
yes, and I'm gonna recommend that we approve the CES contract with Exer Play to complete the Mesa View Play.
Excellent. Board members, is there a motion to approve the Mesa View Playground equipment utilizing Exert Play? So moved. And a second. I'll second. It has been moved by Mr. Hadamio and seconded by Ms. Lee to approve the Mesa View Playground equipment using Extra Play through CVS and all of the things. Is there any further discussion? Right, hearing none, we shall proceed to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Excellent, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, for all of that.
You bet.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones.
Board members, item H, we did a little bit of a agenda change there. I know we need to approve our calendar for meetings, and our OMA. And so, I just want to let you guys discuss that. I know, we've had calls the last several months, and really just want to challenge you to think of what the sufficient number of meetings that you need monthly to get business done. And we do need to do work sessions and special meetings, and of course, superintendent evaluation is always a heavy one. So, so without further ado, I'll turn it over to you, Chris.
Thank you. Board members, we've had in our packet, the GCCS Open Meetings Act resolution, that was authored, by Walsh Gallegos and updated this year with, our approved school year calendar. And at this time, I will open the floor to consideration of approval of the Open Meetings Act resolution.
I'm trying to find a spot, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Oh, okay. I have a motion, in that, based on our previous discussions and having one regular board meeting, a month, I would like to propose that on, I think it's page 1, but it's number 1. I don't want to move my, then I'll lose my spot.
You're good.
So on under number 1, it says that regular meetings shall be held on the first and third Tuesday of each month. And since we have previously discussed having one regular meeting a month, I propose that we change that to reflect what we've previously discussed. So it would state that regular meetings shall be held on the third Tuesday of each month. And then in regards to special meetings and work sessions and all of that other stuff, I believe that that is covered on number 3, which is H. Yes, H. And so we don't need to specify that we're having anything outside of number 1 other than the one regular meeting a month.
Thank you. So board members, right now, I'm gonna try to restate that motion to be just a little bit more concise as far as how our minutes will go. At this time, board member Lorenzo is making a motion to approve the GCCS Open Meetings Act resolution with a change or an amendment, I guess is what you would say, to state regular meetings shall be held on the third Tuesday of each month. And that would be the only change in the proposed resolution. So is there a second? All right. Board members, it has been moved by Ms. Lorenzo and seconded by Ms. Salazar to approve the GCCS Open Meetings Act resolution with the change in section 1 stating regular meetings shall be held on the third Tuesday of the month. Discussion, board members. I was just going to see if anybody had anything. Okay, so just for a little bit of clarification, after speaking with legal counsel, there is nothing in law or statute that states that a board has to have more than one meeting, more than one regular meeting a month. And the board has discussed previously that the first meeting of the month would typically be a work session meeting. In speaking with NMSBA and board legal counsel, they have the same opinion that a meeting is a meeting, regardless of whether you're calling it a regular meeting or a work session. So removing the first and third language doesn't change essentially that the board can still have another meeting if it is properly noticed and the agenda is posted 72 hours prior to having, that scheduled meeting. My only concern with taking out the first meeting is that I think that, and I'm speaking for myself, I like knowing that we're having a meeting on the first and the third. And, obviously when we go to our next item of the board calendar, we certainly can have a calendar that says, the board is meeting on, and not put regular or work session, just meeting on those selected dates if the board agrees to that as a whole. And so, my opinion is that as long as we feel as a board collectively that we can get business done for the district, I don't see that there's a problem in removing first and out of the document. So that's my discussion. Anything else on that, board members?
Well, if there's 3 or more of us, we're a quorum. So we have to abide by the Open Meetings Act. So it's essentially a meeting, a board meeting. If we, whatever we want to call it, it's essentially still a board meeting. On the first Tuesday and on the third Tuesday, we can call it whatever we want, but we're still having a board meeting. So I'm kind of not seeing the point of everything.
So, Ms. Lorenzo, I guess the question goes to you, as to why you want to remove the first and out of it. If you can express that.
So it clearly states in the OMA resolution, that it's specific to a regular meeting. Right, and so like, Mr. Clausen stated, we can call that other meeting whatever we want. But this in that number one, regular meetings shall be held on the third Tuesday of each month. And then down in number 3, it says special meetings, including work sessions, may be called by the board. And so we can call that other meeting without, it can be a special meeting, it can be a work session, whatever we call it, right? And so right now, I guess just in my experience of how we've been doing this, like, and we've tried it, right? Like the past 2 meetings, we said that first meeting was a work session, but it really wasn't. It was just a regular meeting, and still like we're not really doing work, like what I would think is a work session, right? Like where we're reviewing data, where we're looking at, you presented earlier, like on the math curriculum, right? Like, see, yes, this site is doing really good. This site is not doing so great. Like, right, really evaluating the data and really actually doing work, not just another meeting. And so, I think my, I want us to be able to like meet and feel like things are being accomplished, right? Like that we're getting work done, like, and so I would support a structure that includes one regular board meeting supplemented by work sessions or special meetings or whatever else we need, right? Like we need to do the strategic plan. I just think right now we're meeting twice, and I'm just gonna go back to the strategic plan. Like that's something we should be discussing, right, during meetings, and we don't. We haven't discussed that during a meeting. Could that be a discussion at a work session? Yes, absolutely, right? And so I think that saying that we need 2 meetings a month, we're putting the cart before the horse, because we don't even know like what we're working towards. And so I think that having one board meeting where we do this type of stuff would be sufficient until we figure out the strategic plan, and having those strategic planning sessions or work sessions or special meetings or whatever it is that we want to call them, that's in addition to the one meeting that we have. And that would be, that would, I think, help keep us in track to making sure that we're moving forward on district priority. Like every time we have a meeting, like it's not really, not tying this to like district priorities on a strategic plan, one that we don't have, or 2, the previous plan. And so I really think that's what work sessions are, or special meetings can be about, or anything. But having one meeting a month where we're doing this, instead of having 2 meetings a month where we're doing this and still no work, I think would be really beneficial. I also think that as stewards of public resources, we should be mindful that every meeting requires preparation, right? It requires time from staff. It requires time from the board, community participation, and we have community participation. I also think that might increase community participation, in regards to knowing this, the board meeting, that this is the regular board meeting and we're gonna get all of this type of stuff in there, and that these resources, staff resources sitting here, right, like twice a month, they may not need to be here twice a month. Or traveling in or whatever it is. So I think that, that's why I'm saying, like, having one board meeting a month and just specifying that in there. We can call special meetings as needed, and it can still stay on that Tuesday. If there's a special meeting that it's gonna be called and we're thinking it's gonna be that Tuesday, but let's say one of us really wants to participate in that special meeting, but Tuesday doesn't work, we can move it to a Thursday or a Saturday or whatever, right? Like, it's not tying us to having to have another meeting on that day. Yes, we can still have it, and I think that's what we had all committed to before, right? And when we said, yes, the first meeting of the month will be a work session, and the second meeting of the month will be a regular meeting. And even though we tried it, we didn't really try it because they were both just regular meetings, not work session. So again, I think I'm still looking for an opportunity for us to, as a board, do actual work as a
Interactive work. Yeah, and I think it's the language and how you interpret it. Board meeting. The board meetings that were supposed to be the work sessions have the biggest agenda. And I was a little floored, but if you word it as a work session or don't word it at all, then it's kind of free flow. And then the big agendas are not tied to it. Then you can get other work done, discussion, and have everybody get in there and have discussion about things that need to be implemented, and things that need to be in place, should have been in place years ago, and still not in place. So it's just like we're spinning our wheel, and not everybody's on the same page.
And if I can give an example of, because we just had this discussion, on the DNR, right? Like, yes, there was a presentation on it, but there's so much into that, like having an actual work session just on the DNR would be really important, because I want to figure out, like, next steps, like, how am I going to talk to my constituents about this particular policy and get input from them, right? That, when the DNR was on the agenda last time, I think it was on there for what, 15 minutes? Like, what can we get done in 15 minutes? Like, what actual work as a board can we get done? Like, a work session, I think of work sessions like there's an action plan, there's next steps, leaving that meeting, there's like timelines, right? We don't have any of those discussions during these regular during these regular board meetings. I'm not saying we do away with, having that meeting. I'm just saying that the OMA reflects that what we said we were gonna do initially is have one regular board meeting a month. And so that's all my change is asking, is that it reflects that one regular meeting shall be held on the third Tuesday of each month, because we're already covered on special meetings, including work session in number 3, which we can call at any time and just give 72 hours.
Mr. Coffey did that.
But like you said,
Yeah.
the quorum, it doesn't matter if it's a work session
Right.
or
And
it's or a meeting, because we're the quorum.
right.
So we could be making decisions, I don't know.
Mhm. We could. That's not the point of this.
That throws it back to a regular agenda.
But a meeting's a meeting.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
So
Oh,
then,
yes.
so then let me ask another question. Because if we're saying a meeting's a meeting, then why have section 3 in here? Why have it specified that special meetings, including work sessions, can be called?
Because you might need a special meeting, like.
Right,
we
which
had
is
a
what
flood,
we're-
we had a
which is-
flood- We had a flood
Mhm.
a few years ago, we had to come have a special meeting.
Right, which is what I'm saying. So because we can call those special meetings, it's a special meeting right? Is a special meeting, are we calling it a regular board meeting? Or is it a special meeting? Right,
Yeah, the
so
boiler
that's,
broke down.
exactly, so that's,
It wasn't on the first or the third Tuesday. It was on another date.
so that's
Thursday.
That's what I'm saying, is that we can still have our regular board meetings, like you just actually proved my point. Because when something happens, when something comes up, whether or not it's a special meeting or an emergency or a work session, they can be called at any time. It's covered under number 3.
with
And it
72
does, and it
hours.
doesn't, and a special meeting, there's still a quorum, there's still all this, there's still all that, right?
Because everybody's still gonna be together.
My concern or what I'm trying to raise is not, has nothing to do about forums or anything like that. Like, if there's 3 of us, there's a quorum, right? Like, it doesn't matter what meeting it is. My concern is that we're identifying that we're having 2 regular meetings, which leaves no time for what we discussed and agreed upon previously, and having a dedicated time once a month where we can actually do work.
We don't know what these guys are coming up with, though. We want, you don't know what transpires over the month. And sometimes we have to make a decision at the beginning of the month.
Yeah,
It
and
just
number
happened at
3
the end
says
of the
we
month.
can call a special meeting with 72-hour notice.
But we already have a meeting set up. Why would we call a special meeting when we can do it on Tuesday? The first Tuesday.
Because
Or
we're
something.
not doing it. Because we're not doing it. We said that's what we were gonna do. We said we were gonna have a work session, the first meeting of the month, right? And that's what it was called, but we didn't do any work in there. It was just a regular meeting. Like, we didn't,
But you guys wanted to call it a work session.
but we can. In OMA, it says we can call special meetings, work session. It says it in,
Well, I guess after a year, we
In the
don't know what we're talking about.
It says it
What
in the
happens over a year, you
it
don't
says
know.
it in the
We've only been
resolution,
here 4 months.
but the actual Open Meetings Act does not, my understanding is the actual Open Meetings Act itself does not have a work session compliant guide in. I'm just stating that for edification.
And just.
And when we
to
talked
reiterate,
about this before, I did mention that we need to have the ability to take action in those because things come up and we have things that we can vote on the 3rd meeting. And if we can't wait for a whole nother month to vote again on something, then it slows us down.
well, we can, and that's not what I'm saying.
just to reiterate, 4 months, a year. Where's the strategic plan at? We don't have an old one to compare with the new one. We have a work session, we can get the old one, we can get a new one and make sure they piggyback each other. And something's being done. So 4 months to a year, where is it? It's not in play. And with the work session, we can implement.
And whether
Make them work.
we can call it a work session, a strategic plan, a special meeting, like, it doesn't matter. What we had agreed is that we would have 1 regular meeting a month. And that's all that my motion is proposing, that the OMA state that that's what we have already agreed to. And work sessions, special meetings, they can be called, we can leave today and say our next work session is on that first Tuesday, right? Like, we can do that from one meeting to another. There's nothing saying that. I don't view meeting frequency as effectiveness. And you're right, Walter, I've only been here 4 months. And in all honesty and full transparency, like, they're very frustrating for me because I don't like meeting for the sake of meeting. I want to meet knowing that we're accomplishing something in regards to moving towards what our goals are.
Well,
That
so
we
the strategic plan, that is up to these guys. They have to bring it to us.
So if
At
we
the
have
last
an
meeting, they said the
opportunity,
board's responsible for the plan.
as we have an opportunity to work as a board, right now, we don't have that opportunity to work as a board. And we've already all agreed that having one board, regular board meeting would be sufficient. That that we could have another meeting, so we would still be meeting twice. I'm not saying we're not gonna still be meeting twice. I'm saying that where it says the number of regular board meetings that happens, that we change that to what we have already all discussed and agreed upon months ago. So I'm just, I wanna leave these meetings feeling like effective. And so that's what I'm saying. And the board has yet to establish a clear framework for accountability and oversight. And so without that, like, we don't have a clear framework for accountability and oversight. What are we meeting twice a month for? What are we showing? What are we walking away showing that there's that accountability and oversight when we're just having meetings? I mean, this stuff is super important, yes, absolutely. But so is having a strategic plan. So is talking about the data and where our kids are and how we can help move them forward. And so is being able to have meaningful collaborative relationships with, I want to, like the DNR stuff, I want to be able to have a discussion, like an actual work discussion, where I know that next time I meet with my constituents, I'm going to say, hey, blah, 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 right? This is what's going to happen. What do you all think about it? I want to have clear goals from that. And we don't have that opportunity in these meetings. We don't have that opportunity to have those discussions. So I'm not saying that we're not going to meet twice a month. I'm just saying that the resolution reflects what we agreed to by saying we were having one regular meeting a month, and we can still call that second meeting, whatever the heck we want to call it, and do actual work. And of course, there's going to be a quorum, and of course, we can still take action. That's not what I'm saying we're not going to do.
The DNR went on future agendas twice, and now it's not on future agenda. What was done about it? Nothing.
So all that the attorney did as for requests from board member Lorenzo is just taking out those two words. Everything else in the resolution stays exactly the same. So what is happening here when we get down to this section, it says special meetings, work sessions may be called by the board president or a majority of the members of board upon at least 72 hours written notice to the members of board and to the public. So essentially what Ms. Lorenzo is outlining is we are still compliant legally with state law, holding one regular meeting, and it just takes this out. So the regular meeting, which would fall in line with what today is, the third Tuesday of the month. And then as a board, when we are adopting our calendar, next item, we can look at the board calendar and essentially state, and one of the things I want to be sure that we all clarify here is that on the board calendar, it says Board of Education meeting calendar, not regular, not work session, not anything like that, just that these are the proposed dates.
So then my next question is, a work session, does the public intervene with the work session as it would in a regular meeting, let's say a presentation?
The public does not comment on during work sessions. The
You just gotta word it right then.
the public,
That's what you're saying.
Has not
We just, right, it's
Correct.
just an opportunity for us to come together and work. So let's say at our June, not June, we are in June, July, sorry. Our July meeting, at that regular meeting, we can say, oh, let's have a work session that first Tuesday. That's more, it's saying at least 72 hours. We can give more than 72 hours notice. Right,
Like
like, again, I'm
tonight.
not saying we're not,
When
Going
we
to be
adopt the
meeting.
calendar, we're gonna be saying when our next meeting is, whether it's a work session or a regular.
Then we say, hey, let's work on that strategic plan.
Or that DNR.
Yes, DNR. And actually implement something instead of future agenda.
Right. And
Because
it's
now
and
DNR
this
is
is
not on
getting with
future
her, but
agenda.
this is
but
getting
it's with
with
that.
her to make sure it's on there, but that's our job is to get with Francie and Lane to make sure that it's on the work session.
and
Right.
even from our
Yeah.
regular,
Because we can't depend on Francie to know what we want.
even from our regular meetings, we can, during this time, say, this is what we should address or talk
And
about
that's
or work
future
on
meeting.
at that next work meeting, right?
So it's just
we
the
know
wording,
we're-
it's just the
we
legal,
know
I see it.
we're
and we
meeting.
don't have a whole religion. But
And
actually,
then the other thing is, if you guys
things that-
want that, you have to let her know, get it on there as one of the work sessions or Lane.
it's the same, it's the same.
Well,
Or
nothing is gonna change other than taking away at that in the OMA,
First, and
that we're taking away the first meeting and. 'Cause
Right.
it's-
and then these guys,
Regular.
and everything that we voted on, let's say, this came up, we need to get this.
That's
this
not,
It
yeah,
can
marked.
that's not gonna change.
yeah, it can still occur in a work
I
session.
understand.
It just has to be properly noticed on the agenda.
But they have to also voice to you what they need in that.
Absolutely.
Like, so
I've
we
talked
need
with
to work on
Francie and
the
Lane
DNR, right?
numerous
Yes,
times on
we need to
stuff.
work on strategic
Because I've
plan.
sat with them to do the calendar and I don't stay very long. It's a lot of work that they do that week before the meeting.
Which was the point that was made, that it takes a lot of effort
And
and
staff.
resources.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
all
so
right.
to only have to do that one.
Well,
Like that's
it
saving
still happens
resources.
even for a work session, though.
I understand.
All right. Anything further on this? All right, so I'm gonna just restate, since we had such a long discussion. It has been moved by Ms. Lorenzo and seconded by Ms. Salazar to approve the GCCS Open Meetings Act resolution, removing two words, first and in section 1. Now, any further discussion? All right, at this time, we shall proceed to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All opposed, raise your hand and say nay.
Nay.
The motion does carry. All right. So now, board members, we have consideration of approval, pardon me, of the board calendar. I will state to the board right now that the first meeting of July was not, which typically, again, was the first Tuesday, was not placed on the July calendar. The district indicated that because the district is closed all the way through the long weekend until the 6th and doesn't come back until the 7th, the district would be fine not having that initial meeting. But again, it is the board's decision if there is a need for something beyond that. So again, I will indicate at the top of the calendar that's proposed right now. It indicates that it is just a meeting calendar, not a regular, not a work, not a special, just a meeting calendar. And you will see when you look at that calendar, starting the first meeting, now that we have our, resolution that has been adopted. The first meeting would be a regular meeting, July 21st. And then we have proposed on that calendar, and you all can see it clearly, it goes through. I will note that the November calendar dates reflect that it's a Thursday for the first meeting because of the election on Tuesday. And our resolution states that when an election falls on Tuesday, then we will have that first meeting on Thursday of that same week. So you'll notice that date in November reflects that. And then as well, when you look at the March 2 dates, it says the 2nd and the 23rd. That is because spring break falls in the middle. And that would typically have been the 17th of, the 16th of March, but that falls during spring break. So we wouldn't have the meeting that week. We would have it the following week, which is the 23rd. And other than that, those are the typical dates.
But we also have we can also juggle it if something comes up, right?
Correct, as long as it's properly noticed
If it's up to 12.
and agenda. So board members, at this time, is there a motion? Oh, superintendent, do you have a recommendation, sir? Sorry, I left you out.
So I recommend that we approve a calendar. Have our meetings, our regular meetings, the third Tuesday. Do you want formality of the dates? The first Tuesday?
That's a question for the board.
I think that's a great question because I also think that, right, and not just because of you brought up a good, point in regards to the November and March. I think like outlining our regular meeting and us being able to be more flexible with that second meeting, that we're having that month, because maybe it's not a Tuesday, maybe we can't all be in person on a Tuesday, and maybe all of us can be here all in person on a Thursday, or maybe it's a longer work session and we're here on a Saturday, right? Like, I don't know that I'm so tied to having to spell out that first meeting, because it can be flexible, and I think that's the benefit of having work sessions, is that we can be a little bit more flexible in that regard. I see the regular meetings like in my head, well, all the meetings that kind of in my head are mandatory, right? But having that regular meeting on the calendar makes more sense than having to identify both, because they can change.
think what Mrs. Charlie and I do as we're doing that big agenda, right? We're doing the big agenda for the third Tuesday. As we get to future agenda items, we'll say work session September 1st, and then put topics that could go with that. And I think we could do that. So I recommend that we approve our calendar, and we'll revise this to reflect the OMA.
So, yes and no, yes and no. I'm yesing and knowing because I would need a motion that specifically said that the board did not want two meeting dates listed. So, that would be a totally different motion than what we have.
Can I just ask for clarification because this. I'm not sure I follow why we would need that.
Because right now, we have consideration of this proposed board calendar.
So,
But it's still,
yeah.
we're still meeting, so.
yeah, so I guess I'm asking for clarification because this proposed calendar was based on the OMA identifying two regular meetings. And
Agreed.
so I agree with what Mr. Wider said that they could do is to update the calendar to reflect the OMA and then during different meetings or when they're working on the schedule can say, oh, this will be for this
So
work session.
we're
Yeah.
saying the same thing.
Okay,
I need a motion that reflects that the calendar
okay.
that
I'll-
we're approving is listing only the regular meeting,
Okay,
not
got it.
the work session. So we were saying the same thing.
Okay. So I motion that the proposed meeting calendar be changed to reflect the OMA.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Ms. Lorenzo and seconded by Mr. Jaramillo to approve a board calendar that reflects the open meeting resolution with one regular meeting held the third Thursday of each month. Tuesday, sorry, Tuesday. Thank you.
Writing like,
Thank
wait,
you.
what?
Thank you.
I was writing, this discussion all over
Yeah,
again.
no, Tuesday,
All of that.
Tuesday. Tuesday.
So. These have these another date, right? That whole thing.
I think it's just been this forever. All right. Board members, any discussion about the calendar?
Let's try it for a year. For a year, right?
Yeah, for this calendar year. All right, hearing none, we shall proceed to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
I,
All opposed, nay?
Nay.
Nay. Motion carries. Next up, we have consent agenda. Board members, we have consideration of approval of the bills and expenditure report for May 2026 and one bar, which is a flow through for and low income schools. Superintendent recommendation.
I recommend that we move the consent agenda tonight.
Excellent. Board members, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed, including the expenditure report for May and the single bar for the rural and low income school?
motion.
Oh,
Okay.
It has been moved by Ms. Lorenzo and seconded by Mr. Jaramillo to approve the consent agenda as listed, including the bills and expenditure report for May 2026 and the bar. Mrs. Turley, roll call, please.
Mr. Clutton,
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Ms. Lorenzo,
Yes.
Ms. Salazar.
Yes.
Ms. Lee.
Hi, the motion carries. Future agenda items, and
Future
this will be
agenda
where
items.
to get to pick our work session and
Yes.
Yes.
all of those things.
Hopefully not the week of July 7th.
Don't. Leave that.
Yeah, that's what.
Staffing update, I will be ready to come to you in July with a staffing update. Right now, we are fully staffed, we're getting everybody there, but we sometimes we have summer resignations, so, fully staffed. We do need to have a work session where we can talk about our facility master plan and the projects that we have coming up. We are gonna be looking to purchase a maintenance backbone in the very near future. We're still in negotiations on pricing for that, trying to get the best deal. So, we will be purchasing a maintenance backhoe. The GCCS summit will be, July 21st through 24th. And you're all invited to that and welcome to come.
Can you say the date again?
It's July 20, I think it's the week of the 21st,
22nd.
the 22nd, that Monday, July 22nd through Thursday, the 24th.
And what is the
The summit is where we bring all of our coordinators and our principals and our data people, and everybody's kind of setting the tone for the year and setting the goals for their schools and kind of working on their dash plans, and they'll be looking at the math curriculum and they'll be having Marzano conversations and presentations, looking at data. And
Is it
so
like one big summit or they're like breakout?
breakouts.
Okay.
Breakouts. So it's possible, like, if you could come on Monday, you could be there for the coordinator session or
I see.
whatever.
Okay. thank you.
It'll be here. It'll be here. We'll do it here in our training room, and we do it annually to kind of set the tone for the year.
Okay, Mr. Winder, I'm looking at the July calendar. Monday is the 20th of July. And the 24th is Friday. So if you're saying it's the 22nd to the 24th, it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
So 21st through the 23rd.
21st through the 23rd. And
Tuesday,
I'll send
Wednesday,
the
Thursday.
agenda to all of you so that you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do.
We're doing a board meeting on the 21st.
Correct.
Just kidding.
We do have a board meeting on those days first.
Summit and.
Yeah, Mr. Winder,
Um,
thinking, sir.
We will bring in tonight you met the new teaching and learning coordinators. We'll be bringing in new administrators and central office staff in July, so you'll know who's where and who's at the schools. We will have an RFP for our ancillary staff, support staff that we provide. And we will have an RFP for the GHS heating and air systems update. And then I wrote on here, we will have a work session to talk about the 2020 through 2025 strategic plan and kind of examine that data. So I wrote that during the meeting. That's what I have for future agenda items right now.
I just have a question. So talking about the strategic plan and the facility master plan, does it make sense that they be the same work session? Cause I would imagine that some of our facility plan is like strategic plan.
I could see that
I don't
intertwined.
know if that makes
Um,
sense.
it might be a big undertaking. But we could try it.
No, I'm just wondering. I'm not tied to it. I'm just,
Well, like you said, we want to have Schofield.
yeah, like if that's part of our strategic plan, right, then we need to talk about facilities.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt. That could be a gold man.
That's all I have for right now.
Right? Announcements.
Announcements. So the school district will be closed July 3rd through 6th in observance of the 4th of July holiday. I have our next regular board meeting scheduled for July 21st, 2026. And then, I spoke to you all before the meeting about the NMSBA leadership retreat in Taos. And have pretty good feedback that the majority of you want to attend that.
Before you guys leave, I need you to fill out your people.
Kevin will give you the forms for that.
And whatever's easier for whatever hotel you. I think I don't know.
It's all at the Sagebrush. It's all at the Sagebrush.
Yeah.
You think so? Yes. If you'll sign there.
President, Lee, board members, that's all I have for announcement.
All right. Is there?
I recommend that we adjourn the meeting.
All right. Board members, is there a motion to adjourn as amended? Okay. It has been moved by Ms. Salazar and seconded by Ms. Lorenzo to adjourn the meeting as amended. Technically, roll call, Mrs. Turley, I'll write it down.
Mr. Clausen?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Jaramillo? Miss Lorenzo? Yes. Miss Salazar? Yes. Miss Lee?
Hi, the motion carries. The board has adjourned at 7:56 PM.
Still took 4 hours.
Thank you.
It did not.
It did.